Let's go for the walk.
This side that has the map on it. Okay, you're in the park. This park area. Way up in the top corner there, it says Lakewood Supply House. That's that building right there.
Gray building.
That gray building. There is an addition on the back that has been put on, but you can still see the original building. Is that the country store? That very top corner, that is the supply house.
Meaning what?
Okay, the one underneath it would be what you're calling a country store.
Okay, so what did you get at the supply house?
Supply house? Well, I'm not honestly sure, but I would assume it's things like things for your car. I mean, kind of more like a hardware store,
Okay.
dry goods type thing. Whereas the grocery, Model Grocery.
Okay, gotcha.
In fact, I don't know, but my daughter was saying Model is apparently it's a pharmacy in Holland.
Yeah.
There may be some connection there. I don't know, but it would be kind of neat to know. So this Model Grocery was right next to it, sort of where this two-story yellow house is. That's where that grocery is. Now, if we turn around this hill here, number 1, the clubhouse. That's the clubhouse hill. We can go walk up there so you can see a view of it from where we came up. Okay, this is where the clubhouse stood. As you can see from the picture from number 1 there's a lot of steps. It was a very large building. It had verandas on 3 sides. On this side, on the lake side, and on the back side. Thank you. Okay. And let's see, what can I say about the clubhouse? The clubhouse, let's see, it had a fireplace. It had a reading room. It's where people would get their mail, post office. It's where if you wanted to rent a little tiny cottage, the cottage city that was over there by the ball field there, you could do that there. And of course, and then if you wanted to just relax and look at the lake and enjoy things, this is where it was. And this is where, when you got off the train over there by that big gray building. And so they basically dropped you off right here by the clubhouse. Or if you came by auto, right where you parked was basically a parking lot, and you would park your Model T there. Obviously, since this was built in 1915 to begin with, people would come in horse and carriage. So you'll notice in those books down there, some of the pictures have this building with horse and carriages in front of it, because not that many people had cars. Okay?
Someone said, I've read somewhere, like it was 100 feet wide or 100 feet square, the building.
I really don't know, but I wouldn't doubt it.
It would be, it'd be about probably right.
It was very large.
It was a
So
very
really
large
big.
building.
Who paid for the clubhouse and how did they?
The clubhouse
make
was
money
owned
from
by the Chicago Evening Post. They built it with their money to try to, promote this thing for their paper. And by the way, the Chicago Evening Post in 1935 was bought out by the Chicago Daily News. So if you're wondering about the history of that paper.
That photo that we showed you a little earlier that our daughter painted, that was from the clubhouse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's standing on one of the verandas. Okay? All right. Any questions about the clubhouse?
Where's the cafeteria?
All right. Now, we don't really have to move to actually show you where the cafeteria is. Notice it slopes down right here. The cafeteria stood right there where in the lowest point. Okay. The cafeteria could hold 150 people. Most people, when they came here, if they were in the cottage, in the tents, or later the little cottages, they would eat there at the cafeteria. Okay. All right. Now, pardon?
Boathouse.
The boathouse, the beach house.
Yeah. I don't know how much people want to walk. I mean, you can kind of see. I don't know if you want to actually walk over there or not. We can. But at the next dip, where you see a big dip there, that is the boat dock and beach pavilion. Now what that was is that had a dance hall in it. If you notice, the building is really very formidable. It's a really big building. Okay. So if people wanted to change into their bathing suits, they would do so there. That's number 3.
That was also owned by the newspaper. They built most of the buildings that,
Well,
public buildings.
I read in one of the couriers where it said the Chicago Evening Post built this clubhouse. I would assume they probably built the other 2 main buildings, but I don't know that.
Yeah.
It's an assumption, but it makes sense.
Well, a lot of that'll come out
That's
in Bill
when
Hansen's
newspapers
book.
had lots
Okay.
of extra money.
All right. Okay.
Also, I think another interesting thing about this is that, like, if we drive out here, basically it's like flat land, all right, and that but then you go to different areas, and there's like obviously the glacier really went through here and redistributed kind of soils and terrain, etc. And so like here's the knoll, but I don't know how far you go that way while it's level or that far while it's level. There's a couple dips over there, etc. But obviously they picked up on the rolling terrain for the clubhouse. Good sighting.
Nice view from here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you'll notice in any of the pictures that were taken, it pretty much looks just like the same. It hasn't really changed much for 100 years. Okay, we will walk over to where the pavilion was and then where the train stopped. Okay, if you notice on your map there, where we're standing is sort of between where the train came in and the lake. So this big bath pavilion was right here in this depression where you see the land go down towards the lake there. That building stood right there. Then if you come over here, kind of where this gray building is there, that's where the train was. Now the Pere Marquette Railroad came to Lakewood Road. Lakewood Road and Whitehall Road. If you notice right in there, there used to be a train crossing. Okay, that's the Pere Marquette Railroad. That's as far as people could come on that train. Lakewood then built a smaller, and you see it in this picture on number 6. That's kind of almost, in my opinion, kind of a more homemade type thing. Okay, what they did is they bought this train, or they made this train, somebody did, engine, and then they purchased 2 trolley cars from the Muskegon Trolley Company, and they stuck them on the back. And they would then, what you did was when you got on the Pere Marquette and you came up from Muskegon after coming on the Goodrich, you would then get off, and you'll notice way over here on this side, you see a picture of the Lakewood train station. What that is, of course, it said Lakewood on it. And what you did is you got off the Pere Marquette, walked over the tracks, went around the building, and got onto the Lakewood train. Then the Lakewood train came up Lakewood Road, all the way across Russell, way over there, up Poppy, which I don't even know if I could find it in the woods, and then came back through Ashland, came right there on that central, and then came right here. And that's where you see the tracks there. And then they would let people off at a little platform, which as you see, if you got off of the platform, you simply walk right over there, and there you're in the clubhouse. So it's really very convenient.
I wonder if that loop made it so they did not have to reverse the engine.
Well, as you see,
Throw a switch.
you see this, if you look on the map, as they come in and they stop and they back straight up and then they're ready to go back out. So that's why that design is on there. So it made it very easy to turn around.
Okay. Yep.
Okay? Now, I don't know if anybody's noticed, maybe, because, I don't know if you know a complete map of Lakewood, but this truly was I don't know about exclusive, but primarily Chicago resort. Many, many, many people came from Chicago. And so the streets all going north and south are, if I got this right, north and south, they are natural things like poppy and spruce and hazel and green
Auburn.
wood and auburn. Then the streets going east and west are all named after Chicago. So when I was a little girl, of course I've been out here all my life, and like I say, our family's been here for almost 100 years. When I was a little girl, I would write my address, Englewood Boulevard. And you all know what a boulevard is, with the grass between and a beautiful big, And here I'm living on this little dirt road right there. And I asked my mother once, why is it a boulevard? And she says because it's after a boulevard in Chicago. So it made the Chicago people feel very comfortable to be Kedzie and all these different streets that they know of are really big stuff down in Chicago.
Ashland Avenue.
Ashland, that's a big one. You know, Lake Forest Park, all these. Okay. And also with the Chicago people, I think it's important to throw this out. A lot of them were professionals, like this John Plaisir that was mentioned. He was an electrical engineer professor at Northwestern University. Or like this man I used to call Uncle Joe. Uncle Joe was a publisher in Chicago. He also did really beautiful enamel work with China. You can actually, it's still for sale, this man. I looked on the internet, I Googled it. And so anyway, these people brought with them not just rustic stuff for these cottages. They brought what they were used to. Fine china, beautiful furniture, okay, really nice rugs, things from all over the world. So the people that I grew up with were very educated people and very interesting. Lots and lots of different characters who came up from out here. So anyway, so that's where the railroad was. So now what we can do is go over to where what's called the Trianon. We'll go over to number 9. If you look at, where is it? Number 5. Okay, number 5 is the men's club. It was approximately somewhere right in here. That street right there is Englewood. Okay, and the men's club obviously had a pool room and a bowling alley. And I have the distinction of being the daughter of the man who used to set up the pins. Now back then they didn't have automatic bowling pin thingies to stand, you know. My dad was hired as a kid to set them up in place. So he would get 50 cents for putting these pins up straight. Okay, and every day he would walk home, and I grew up just down the road here, and that was our parents' cottage too. So every day he'd come home and he'd give his mother what she called the butter and egg money. 50 cents, butter and egg money. So every time he'd get paid like once a week, he'd bring home this 50 cents. Okay, well, it's the pool room and the bowling alley. So one day he decided he'd play pool. Okay, now my grandma was really religious, and pool wasn't part of what she thought was right. So he came home, and she wanted to know, where's the butter and egg money? And he said, well, Mom, I have to admit, I played some pool. I spent it on pool. So she started telling my dad, Laddie, she called him Laddie, she says, don't you know it's a sin? You are not supposed to gamble. Don't gamble, it's a sin. But Mom, and she says, no, it's wrong. It's a sin, don't gamble. But Mom, and she's just so determined to tell him, stop that, be a good boy. He says, but Mom, I won $5. She says, it's only a sin when you lose. So anyway, this is where the men's club stood. And then if you look at number 9, now there was a big place, I've never seen it, maybe you folks know of it. It was called the Trianon in Chicago. It was a very popular place for dancing and socializing. Great big thing. So Lakewood then, of course, had a Trianon. So that's the Trianon, and there was a lot of things going on there, including, you know, dancing and just lots of fun stuff. That place stood right beside this 2-story greenhouse here. Right beside it, you can still see the cement because they also had tennis courts there. Okay. That's where that building stood. It's really fairly large, so it kind of went from Englewood all the way over to Kenwood. It's a very, very big building. Now the people who ran that lived in this house right there. Now that little tan house back over there, that was a lodge. It's called Lord Beaker Lodge. And right beside Lord Beaker Lodge then would be the Emerson Hotel. So we can walk over there.
First it was a tent city, and then that was it was changed into a hardwood